Welcome, everyone, to the Kidney Corner podcast. I am your host, Craig, Executive Director and founder of the Get in Position Foundation. This month of March is National Kidney Month, and we're so excited to have a young lady. She is a kidney transplant recipient, also a PhD candidate at Temple University. She has an amazing story. She's also a kidney health advocate. Um, Listen, I am so excited about it. Please share this video with someone you know who's dealing with kidney disease or on dialysis. They need to hear what this young lady has to say and has to offer. So, again, welcome to the Kidney Corner podcast. And without further ado, please welcome the future Dr. Jazmin Evans.
Hello,
Welcome, Jay.
hello. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. And yes, happy National Kidney Month. It is March. It's one of my favorite months of the year, aside from May, because that's my birthday. But March, you get everything in. You get kidney health awareness in. You get Women's History Month in. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we love it here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you. And allowing you to share some of your story, but there's some things that we definitely need to discuss, and I want you to
Absolutely.
share with our audience out there. So, like myself, you were transplanted
Hmm.
in 2023,
Yes,
and
July 4th.
wow, the 4th of
The
July.
4th of July.
Talk about celebrating liberation. I think that's just awesome. So
Yes.
the 4th of July has a different meaning for you, right?
Absolutely. Now I say the fireworks are for me, and I live in Philadelphia. So, the city
Wow.
already kind of just like goes up for the 4th of July. So I'm like, oh my goodness, all of these people are celebrating me. I love it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So it won't be the same for me either now that I have a good buddy, a good friend
Yes.
for the 4th of July. So I'll keep that in mind as well. So Jay, tell us just a little bit about your story, your kidney journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was diagnosed when I was in high school. So
Yeah.
I remember the year was about like 2012 is my senior year of high school. A sports team that I was on, we had to get physicals every single year. And so we're at my primary care physician, and my doctor notices that I have protein in my urine and
Mhm.
that my blood pressure is up a little bit. Now, I've always struggled with blood pressure, even as a child, since about 12 years old, actually. But,
Mhm.
I thought it was just hereditary. My mother has it. She's still on medication to this day for it. So that's what we thought that it was. But in actuality, it was signs showing that like my kidneys weren't working in the way that they should, because those are silent symptoms.
Mhm.
So she referred me to a pediatric nephrologist at Akron Children's Hospital. And that's when we went through a whole bunch of tests. They couldn't figure out what was going on because, it wasn't caused by like other health complications. So it wasn't diabetes, it wasn't lupus, it wasn't heart disease, any of those other kind of like big factors that causes your kidneys to fail.
Mhm.
So I had to end up getting a kidney biopsy, and they basically saw that it was through this process called FSGS, and
Mhm.
scarring on my like kidney muscle or tissue or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It was scarring there, and so that's what was
Mhm.
causing my kidneys to fail, basically. And
Right.
also, one of my kidneys is smaller than the other, so it didn't grow to its full potential as well.
Mm.
So we managed it with medication for the most part, especially with me going into college. And one thing that I will say that I'm so grateful and blessed for is that people on my care team, for the most part, but especially starting out, they made sure that I knew my case like the back of my hand. So if I had to go somewhere else and they were like, oh, well, what stage kidney disease are you in? I'm in stage 3. What was it caused by? FSGS. I got scarring back there. I may not know what that means, but you know what it
You knew
means.
it. You
So
knew it.
you know
Right.
what it means. And so I'm able to have those conversations. And so I go into college and, being very young, like just entering into the 20s, you think you've grown, you think you're invincible, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I feel good. I don't feel bad or anything like that. So, I must be okay. I don't need to take these blood pressure meds today. My numbers can go up just a little bit as long as they go back down before my doctor's appointment. I'll be okay. I ended up having a hypertensive crisis
Wow.
in 2013. It was either 2013 or 2014. It was Valentine's Day weekend. And I was in the hospital the entire time. I went in for an appointment. I believe my blood pressure was like 220 over 190. It was bad. It
Yeah,
was
that's
very
bad.
bad. And
That's
they
bad.
said, you're not going anywhere because you can have a stroke at any moment. And so
Wow.
I ended up staying there. And that's what got me to say, you know what? We need to take our health more seriously at this point. And so,
Absolutely.
started doing everything that I was supposed to do. Fast forward to 2019. At this point, I'm in grad school. I moved to Philadelphia all by myself, no family out here. And I get a call from my nephrologist that's like, hey, it's time for you to start thinking about dialysis. And it's time to start thinking about getting you on the transplant list, like what that looks like for you. So I'm going through like the trainings for the different modalities. And I'm like, I don't like in center. Like I'm still young. For me, all I saw was like older people there, and me being as busy as I was, going into my PhD program, being the senior editor of our graduate student academic journal. I have a fellowship, so I'm planning like an international conference here, and I'm doing all of these things, right? And we'll get back to like why I would do those things, but like I'm doing all of these things. And so I'm like, I can't be in center, right? Because I'm just not going to have time to do that.
Absolutely.
And plus hemo scares me. Didn't want a fistula, right? Because for me, I had always had this mindset. I had developed the mindset, I'll say that, that dialysis was temporary and that transplant was on the forefront of my mind. So I knew that I didn't want a fistula because that's permanent. I didn't want any permanent equipment, no nothing in my body. So I ended up going on peritoneal dialysis, and I did that for 4 years.
Wow.
Never had an infection or anything like that.
Good for you.
Yeah, the only issues that I had with peritoneal dialysis was Baxter, medical delivery.
Oh my goodness! Listen,
I never liked them.
I started on PD, so I understand.
Oh,
The supplies,
I try not to use the word hate, but I strongly, like in my soul, strongly disliked Baxter. Okay.
Oh wow.
Like
I never had a problem with them.
I had issues with them. I had real issues with them. Like they would give me like certain delivery times, and then they wouldn't come during those times. And
that's frustrating.
I was also teaching at the time too. I had in-person classes. So they would show up maybe like an hour or two outside of their delivery window. And I'm like, I'm on campus, I'm teaching. They're like, oh, well, we're going to have to like reship them. Or then they'll have like split deliveries. Won't tell me they're split deliveries. And now I have like 13 boxes stacked outside of my door, and I have to bring them up a 3-floor walk up by myself. Whoa. I did not like Baxter at all. But anyway.
Because you was in Philly, you was in the city.
I'm in Philly, and also like I'm a single woman. I'm living by myself. Like I'm primarily doing this on my own.
On your own, everything.
And like everything on my own. And like my neighbors were really nice. They would bring the boxes inside, but they're not carrying them up the stairs because those boxes are heavy. She'll get them. She'll get them. She'll have to get them. And I remember just like, because people were like, oh no, it couldn't be that bad. So like I would literally record myself like bringing them up, and then people were like, oh no, it really is that bad. I'm like, yes,
it's true. It's real. The struggle real.
The struggle is real. I should not have to carry all of this by myself, but I
Facts.
digress. We've been delivered. I hope they're doing fine. Um, Shout out to
Well,
Baxter.
yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
um, Fast forward to 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was either March or April. I get a letter in the mail, and they're like, "Hey, girl, so have you heard of this thing called the eGFR? Because not only is it racially biased, it basically took 3.5 years away from you on the kidney transplant list."
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure on here you've talked about what the eGFR is, but in
Yes.
case y'all don't know what it is, right?
Yep.
It was basically this algorithm that did or figured out where our kidney function was.
Mm-hmm.
And for Black patients, it overestimated it, right? So it would say that our kidneys were working better than it was actually working. And this has been the standard for decades at this point. Like, actually, since I was born, since like 1994. And
Yeah.
I get this letter. They said that we've overestimated your function. So it's 3.5 years that we owe you. So just to put it into perspective, I started dialysis and I got on the transplant list in 2019, July actually of 2019. I was supposed to be on it either September or October of 2015 while I was
Mm.
still an undergrad, and now I'm about to enter into a PhD program. So that just kind of knocked me out. And it wasn't out of surprise or anything like that, because as a student in the Black history space, my specialty or my research field has always been in like Black health, and that policy development around that. So for me, I'm like, this is nothing new. This is something that we've always had to deal with, but it's a sobering moment when you realize that you've been affected by it directly. And
Absolutely.
so for me, I just had to take a moment and I'm like, wait, what? And then I thought about people who I've known in my own life story who has passed away from, kidney failure or what have you. Would they still be here if they were
Mm-hmm.
evaluated with the correct algorithm, right? And so I remember making this TikTok and just basically explaining like what the eGFR was. And so many people were like, wait, no, like I didn't know that this was happening. And they went back to their doctors and, said, is this
Mm-hmm.
true? Like, are you guys like reevaluating? Because if so, you need to reevaluate me. And yeah, it was just like this firestorm of patients really understanding like what was going on in their own kind of like health journey. So fast forward to July. It is July 3rd at 7 p.m. I remember. And I remember that night like the back of my hand. I was making dinner. I was meal prepping for the week.
Mm.
And they had called me previously for like a kidney transplant, but I wasn't feeling well that day. So we ended up passing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had the number saved in my phone in all capital letters, like your kidney is calling, because I
Oh,
knew that they were going
wow.
to call from that number. And
Wow.
so, I'm cooking, I'm listening to my Anita Baker in the background, having a grand old time.
Absolutely.
And my phone rings and I see those letters and everything just stops for me. Like everything
Mm.
stops. I answer the phone and they're like, hey, we have a kidney for you and we need you to come to the hospital like sooner than later.
Nice.
And then, I packed up everything. I called my brother, my mother, like everybody at the time, my whole like team, and was like, yeah, it's time to go. So I went in and July 4th, that's when I got my transplant. And
Fireworks.
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 Fireworks. And
Give
it
us
was just
free. We
give
free.
us we are free now. So no, it was a beautiful moment. And even with us celebrating National Kidney Month, I went back and I looked back at some of those videos that I took, like, because I remember I was like, wait, no, I took a video like right after I got the call, and just like being in that moment and like that surreal feeling of getting
Yeah.
that call, it's just like, wow, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been it's
Yeah.
been a journey, right? It's
Yeah.
been a journey. So
It's a
just being
journey.
able to look back at that and just feeling so grateful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome story. Awesome story. And you touched on a few things because on your website, and I have it posted there in the lower
Oh,
third.
right here, y'all. Go to my
Yeah,
website right
that's right.
here.
And on your website, you have a blog, you have two blogs, very well written
Mhm.
blogs, and one of them very interesting, 30% margin of error,
Yeah.
which is it explains the whole racially biased calculation of that eGFR. And one of the things that you already touched on, you should have been listed in 2015 as opposed to 2019. You
Mhm.
also shared the fact that there were people that you knew, from your childhood who was dealing with kidney disease, and they should have been transplanted, and they've passed away
Mhm.
because of the racially biased calculation of that test, which it tests your kidney function, and it overestimated how well our African American kidneys were actually functioning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I always had a question about that, and it always seemed strange to me. But anyway,
Mhm.
um, you mentioned that you actually, and I have it written down, that you actually spoke with someone who
Mhm.
developed the calculation.
Yeah, who was a part of
He was a part
doing
of it.
the yeah, he was a part of doing that research.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, I remember too. So just like a quick little background, right?
Mhm.
After I got my transplant center had me doing a lot of press for them around the issue. And so out of that, I got the opportunity to go to the Association of Healthcare Journalists Conference, right, through the
Mhm.
Doris Duke Foundation.
Mhm.
And there was a gentleman who was on that panel with me. I think it was like four of us that were on that panel. And we were speaking to, not only the changes in the eGFR, but the impact of those changes as well. So I got to be that patient voice.
Mhm.
But the funny thing is, most of the people on that panel did not know that I was also coming with a research background as well. They like to put you in like one of those
Mm.
categories, but they
Mhm.
didn't know that I also had a research background in this and that I was completing my dissertation. And so the gentleman, I remember there was a question that was given basically like, like, how could this have happened? And honestly, I called it lazy research. Right.
Mm.
So, whenever it came to those clinical trials, they saw that the Black patients that were involved in that, they were routinely testing higher than any other demographic. And instead of investigating that further, the belief was, well, their bodies have historically worked different, right? They're,
Mhm. Right. Air
stronger
quotes.
built and air quotes, right? Like, Black bodies are stronger, built tough, like to last, all of that. When
Mhm.
it's, our bodies operate just like everyone else's.
Everybody else's. Mhm.
And so it was basically, to me, I called it lazy research because there was no further investigation as to why these groups of people were testing higher. And so it
Mhm.
became this common belief, it became standard practice that with the eGFR, that Black patients would be tested or their kidney function would be tested higher. So afterwards, he pulled me to the side and he was like, I'm one of those people that you accused of lazy research. And then he goes into like this whole spiel about, we only had information that was available to us at the time, which is true, which is fair, right? Like, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure a lot more information has come out now as
Mhm.
opposed to then. But
Mhm.
really just trying to validate, right? Like, try to justify why, their research findings were what they were. And I remember one of the specific things that he said to me was, well, we did warn that we had a 30% margin of error. And at that point, before I could respond, thank God, one of the people from my management team, his name is Ron, he kind of like came and got me. He was like, some other people wants to talk to Jay. We're gonna go over here because I think he saw it on my face. Like I was just disgusted at that point because a 30% margin of error, what do you mean? That is still way too high, right? Like how many people's lives have been lost because of that 30% margin of error? And I believe that I opened that blog post with saying that if 30% of flights that were going out, right, had a chance of failing, or you had a chance of a crash, you're not getting on that plane, right? Like even with everything that we're seeing now in the news with like all of these plane crashes, even though I think I read a report that was saying that this year we haven't experienced as today, because we're still very early in this year, we haven't experienced like as many plane crashes as we typically do, but because they're being reported more, then it feels like we're having a lot more of those crashes, right?
Yeah.
So if there would be an entire overhaul of the aviation industry, right? Because 30% margins of error are way too much.
Right.
But because we are dealing with Black bodies, and we know that medical racism has always been this invisible yet very present force, right, within this field, that everyone is just like, oh, it's okay, this is just like how we operate. And it's like, no, that's not okay. And I'm so grateful that there are groups of people now, especially with the students and the professors out at Harvard, who are like, no, there's something wrong with this. Or
absolutely.
That was like, you guys are right, there's something wrong with this. And even the early transplant centers that was like, no, we agree, and started making these changes for more equitable outcomes, because now we're seeing, there is something wrong with this, and there needs to be some sort of I'm gonna say it. There needs to be some sort of reparations for it.
I mean, that you can put anywhere in every category.
Yes, absolutely.
Reparations for many of us. Dude was just offended because he was convicted, and he gave a poor excuse because, I think it's an excuse just saying you didn't have the research at the time. That's BS to me, because you're entering into the research with already that in your mind. Absolutely. That you have two races. You're already you're not seeing the patient as a patient.
Exactly. You already have this assumption in your mind, just by assuming like the color of my skin. Absolutely.
Right. Because in that blog, you quoted, and I'm gonna read it here. You said physicians and care providers must re-educate themselves on the history of racial bias in the medical system and actively do the work to see the whole patient, not just their skin color.
Absolutely.
And that resonated with me because you and I would say are kidney brother and sister, right? Kidney twins, right? Because our stories are similar.
Absolutely.
Just going for a routine checkup or whatever, and both diagnosed with FSGS. Both, right?
Yeah.
Right, stage 3, right? And now I went in center. I started with PD, peritoneal. It didn't do too well for me. I dealt with Baxter as well. I dealt with Baxter as well. My garage filled with those boxes and supplies and so on and so forth. But at any rate, I was in center. And when those physicians and care providers would come around and do their rounds with us, the thing that troubled me and aggravated me the most was because they placed us all in the same box.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated that.
Yeah.
I absolutely, and I think the word hate is appropriate here. And I would tell them, don't put me in the same box as dude next to me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not the same.
Absolutely not. We're different
We're
people, different
different
circumstances.
right, different. You know what I mean? And I think what you're saying there, when you say look at the whole patient,
Mm-hmm.
not just the skin color,
Absolutely.
or not just even the skin color, but again, I had a different experience being in center,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the same box as, okay, all dialysis patients are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now there were some who didn't believe that or operated in that manner. And I won't dare do the same and put all physicians in the same box.
Right. Right.
However, the majority of them, because I had some really great nephrologists,
Yeah.
really great nephrologists. You talking about a nephrologist who, partnering together, I stayed on stage 3 for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was really
Which
good.
which is very good.
Yeah, that's rare. That
That's very rare. That's not the norm.
that's not the norm.
That's not the
So,
norm.
right. And so she was absolutely phenomenal, and rest in peace to Dr. Kumar. But I was also blessed to get her son,
Mm-hmm.
who's a nephrologist, and
I
he
love
became
that.
my nephrologist. So I stayed with Dr. Kumar
Yeah.
all the way through.
All
But
throughout.
but my point is, don't just treat all dialysis patients or kidney patients. Don't put us all in the same box and
Mm-hmm.
talk to us, well, that's normal. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, I'm gonna put you on this because I got all of my other patients on this. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait. First of all, I don't think like the next man over there.
Exactly.
Right. I'm not coming in the center. First, I'm not stopping by the gas station to get a bunch of snacks and eating them on the treatment floor. I'm here. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. When you
Mm-hmm.
come to me, I know my numbers. I
Yep.
know if they out of whack, I can tell you why. And I will challenge you, test me in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you those numbers will come down.
Absolutely.
And every
Because
time I did it, go ahead.
yeah, no, because I think that that's so important because patients have more power than they realize that they do, right? Whenever it comes to their care teams. And I tell people who come to me with advice all the time, if you feel like you're not being heard or taken care of or listen to whatever, you can find somebody else. That's not the only nephrologist. That's not the only dialysis center, right?
Mhm.
And really quickly, I find it so funny that whenever we think about just like the discipline of nephrology, like as a medical practice, it is one of the most complex
Yes,
disciplines, right?
it
Within the
is.
entire medical field, one
It
of the
is.
most complex. And then on top of that, I have never met a kidney patient that had the same exact like condition, story, what have you, right? Like people come to me with advice all the time, and the first thing that I say out of my mouth, one, I'm not a licensed medical professional, right? That's number one.
That's
And
our disclaimer. That's our disclaimer here on the
yeah,
Kidney Corner.
that
We are not healthcare professionals, but we
not
are experienced
yes,
professionals.
absolutely. So I tell them that that's number one. And then number two, I also tell them everybody's like case is different.
Mhm.
People's bodies work differently. So whether you look like me or not, we may be going through something different. Your kidney failure could be caused by another like health
Mhm.
thing that you may have or
Right.
like condition that you may have. With
Absolutely.
me, I know that my kidney failure happened because one of my kidneys are very short, it's not fully grown, and the
Mm.
FSGS ended up happening, right?
Mm.
That's my story. So I can't tell you the things that work for me are going to work for you because that's not going to be the case a lot of different times.
Hmm.
So, yeah, to
Yeah.
your point. Yeah.
Wow.
So when they try to treat us like we are the same, it's like, do you know where you are? Do you know like what's medical specialty that you're in? Like
Right.
nephrology is one of
Absolutely.
the most complex systems ever.
It is. It absolutely is. And your other I want you to speak about this real quick, very quickly. The other blog that's titled Section
1557.
1557. Touch on that for
Yeah.
our viewers and explain what that is.
Absolutely. So we all know about the Affordable Care Act, right? Or better known as like Obamacare,
Mhm.
that was established in 2010.
Mhm.
So when the Biden administration took over, they're still refining what the ACA is. They're still, fine tuning and figuring it out because it's still like a fairly new policy, right,
Mhm.
for the US. So there's something specifically in there that is the first time that we get enshrined in law, which basically means that now we have protections under the law from this. And
Mhm.
it's basically that physicians can no longer discriminate against patients due to their race, gender, anything of that nature, right? And
Mhm.
for a very long time, we've known that, physicians could have like personal bias. There's like medical, like systematic medical bias in
Mhm.
general. There is bias within healthcare policy, and there's also bias in clinical algorithms. I call it like the forefronts of medical racism. It's literally in the forefront of my mind because I'm writing that section of my dissertation right now.
Gotcha.
And so it was the very first time that we saw, like, literally in law, like you as a medical professional cannot discriminate against your patients because of these like classified like categories. And for me, I was just like, wow, it's another like moment of just saying like, wow, like this is again something that we're still fighting and something that is still so prevalent that even when we're talking about like the civil rights acts, right, like you can't discriminate based, or you can't like deny someone employment, housing, what have you, nobody really thought to think about like the medical systems in
Mhm.
that way too until we got to the ACA. And so even understanding that, even with the current administration that's
Mhm.
in there who's trying to repeal the ACA, or as they love to call it, Obamacare, right? Very
Mhm.
discriminatively, trying to repeal that, and also understanding that for patients, a lot of your protections in there as well are going to go away with that. It's not just like another option for healthcare for people who may not have it in traditional means to their employer or what have you,
Right.
but it's also a whole host of protections to make sure that you can get the care that you deserve. And quiet as it's kept, Section 1557 really did lay a lot of the groundwork for the
Mm.
adjustments for the eGFR, right?
Mhm.
Because that is something that now we can say we do have this protection, this clinical algorithm, we have like the facts and the evidence to say that, this is discriminatory, this is racially biased. Under this section of the law, we can no longer do this. You have made a case as to why the eGFR can no longer be racially biased. And it's also, we see ripple effects of this within the entire medical system because there are a whole bunch of other disciplines that are saying, wait, do we need to roll back a lot of the racially biased algorithms that we have? Can we find the evidence, right, to make sure that that there is this legacy of this thing being biased? How do
Mhm.
we like remedy this? And so yeah, the ACA is very important for a number of reasons.
Right. So, and I'm glad you touched on this again, ladies and gentlemen. Please visit Jazmin's website to read that blog. Is very informative. And even now, in the political climate that we're in today,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to, we're talking to kidney patients, patients in general,
Yeah.
um, uh, even if you're not a patient, but someday, my mother used to say, well, keep on living, right?
Keep on living because you
Keep
will
on
become
living.
a
You
patient.
will
Yeah.
become not a kidney patient. We
Yeah,
hope to
you may
God
not. You
and
may
hope
not.
not that you experience nothing what Jay and I have experienced during our health journey.
Absolutely.
But one day,
Hmm.
and in the
All of
political,
those vegetables and alkaline water that y'all say that we were supposed to be eating from the jump, it's not going to work as well as they've been working. That's all I'm going to say.
right? But what would you say? How important is it? Because I'm working very very hard and diligently, not just here on the Kidney Corner podcast, but our foundation, the Get in Position Foundation, for preventative care.
Hmm.
What would you say to everyone, all of our viewers, about how important it is because of the political climate we're in? We know
Yeah.
who's in charge right now. We know the minions that follow, and they just going to do it just to do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, how important is for us, because we're speaking to our people, right?
Hmm.
The Black and brown communities, to be healthy, get healthy, and
Hmm.
stay healthy. Speak to that.
It so first of all, let's just say it's always been important, right,
Mm-hmm.
to be like more so proactive when it comes to your health, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more important now, like more than ever, especially with like who we have running health and human services. Like these people are in charge of the FDA. They're in charge of like which vaccines we're able to get. And as immunocompromised people, we need all the protections that we
Mm-hmm.
can get, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the people who are in charge now, they are the ones who get to decide what part of organizations we're a part of. So, for example, we've withdrawn from the World Health Organization, and
Mm.
globally, there is another Ebola outbreak going on. We're not getting any information regarding that, right?
Right.
For a good part of a month, the CDC went silent. The CDC just shut down altogether. And the
Mm.
CDC is the Center of Disease Control. They are
Yes.
the ones who give us guidance. And it's not just like a political thing or anything like that. Like, no, they are the ones who keep us updated and give us guidance
That's
whenever we
right.
have outbreaks going on. So, like right now, we have the bird flu going on,
Yeah.
right?
Measles.
There's we got
Measles come back.
measles going on, and
Come
measles
on
have been
now.
eradicated since 2000. Like, the measles
Come
are back.
on. Come on.
And we
Mm.
have like COVID is still very much a thing, right?
Different
So
variants, right?
different
Mm-hmm.
variants. And so
Mm-hmm.
it is so, 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 so important that we be more so proactive now. And so my best advice is while you can, get everything that you can. So, for example, I started seeing a new primary
Mm-hmm.
just recently, and she's through like my hospital system. She's amazing. I love her. Shout out to Dr. George.
Shout out Dr.
She
George.
Shout out Dr. George. Like, we sat down, I told her my entire like thing. She
Mm-hmm.
listened, beautiful person.
Right.
And then one thing that I wasn't even thinking about, but she did, she said, let's take a look at your immunization records. And she was like,
Mm.
okay, I see everything that you have. I would recommend you need you need a pneumonia shot. You need your another updated shingles, and you also need a COVID booster. And guess what we did all that week?
All that.
We got my vaccines while they're still
We
available and
did
while
it.
we can still get them. That is what we call being proactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, a lot of times as patients, we may not have like that knowledge or the tools to say, well, I need this shot, I need that, I need this, I need that. Having someone on your care team who can say, no, you do need X, Y, and Z. And even if like you may feel skeptical, you are in a safe space to have that conversation with them as to like why they believe that you need this. And it's not just like a because I said so. It's they're actually able to explain. And for when it came to Dr. Joyce, because when she said shingles, I was like, I don't actually think I need like a shingles vaccine. She brought up like the CDC website and was like, listen, I understand, but this is the science behind it. And you being an immunocompromised person, your schedule should be X, Y, and Z. And she showed me the facts of that. I'm like, okay, you got it, sis. Like I will do X, Y, and Z now. And so, and it basically is very important. I would also say like keep up to date on your screenings as well. So your screenings for other things, whether it be like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, what have you. If you're not able to get even your dental health, because that also plays a big part in your overall health. It's all related.
It's all related.
And so for those of you who are like, okay, that's nice of you to say with your fancy degrees, I don't have insurance. There are so many community organizations right now, like all over the country, that are organizing to put on free physicals, free dental clinics, free diabetes, cardiovascular, and cancer screenings. Link up with these organizations. Like, please do your due diligence because it's so important. Like even now here in Philadelphia, my team, we're gearing up to host a cancer screening with Jefferson Health in July for both. We'll be giving like free mammograms and also prostate screenings. Blood test only for those who may be scared. It's just a blood test. You don't have to bend and cough, I promise. But later on, we'll be doing like other screenings for, like I said, cardiovascular disease, chronic kidney disease, diabetes, all of these different things. So you can come and you can get them for free, right? It's not going to cost you anything, whether you have insurance or not. So I promise you, there are people who are out there doing the work to make sure that you can stay proactive in your healthcare journey and not reactive, because that's the main part. You want to stay proactive, not reactive.
That's right. That's right. So ladies and gentlemen, listen, please go here. Please go to this website. Also, you can contact us here if you have questions. I like to call her. I did a great job by not calling her that yet, but I call her Dr. J. This is the new Dr. J, right? So Dr. J, listen, contact her if you got questions on anything she mentioned about those programs. You can contact us. It's been scrolling since the beginning of the podcast. You can contact us, email us if you have questions about anything. We'll reach out to Dr. J so she can answer it. She's such an awesome spirit. My new buddy. New buddy.
Yes.
And we're in this fight.
Absolutely.
And trust me, it is a fight against this dreadful disease, kidney disease. And we're trying to spread the word, get the word out there. And just as Dr. J has stated, we want you to be very, very proactive instead of reactive. Listen, Dr. J, I wish we had more time. I know. You got to go. You're very busy, and I can see why. I can see why you're so busy.
Team typing fast, Craig. Also, Mama, he told me I tried to call him Mr. Craig. He said, "Don't call him Mr. Craig. Don't, please don't."
No. No.
No, but no, I'm trying to defend this dissertation in a couple months, so we're definitely on team typing fast right now. So
we're praying for you.
Thank you for all of the work that you're doing, because this is so important. And I've already given you your flowers. We've already talked about this, but
I appreciate
this is amazing. I love the Kidney Corner. I love what you guys are doing. Please, please keep us informed, because information is important. Information is important and it's valuable, and they don't want us to have it, but we gonna have it anyway. And so thank you so much for what you're doing.
No doubt, no doubt. Now I know you wanted to put some respect on the name and like your mama taught you. Now, what I would say is I have a lot of surrogate nieces and nephews out there, right? So I'll take on the title, if anything, Uncle Craig.
Uncle Craig.
Uncle
Okay.
Craig. We can do that. But
Okay, I can do Uncle Craig.
Yeah, that
listen, the way Sheila Renee will call me and be like, so I didn't teach you no manners. I'll be like, listen, I tried. Sheila, I tried. Okay.
And that's your mama. That's your mama. She taught you well. Shout out to her. You know,
shout out to Sheila.
Shout out to Sheila. But Sheila, listen, that Mr. thing, you know,
listen,
my skin crawl with that. But I be Uncle Craig. Uncle Craig all day.
We can do Uncle Craig and Dr. J.
That's got the Uncle Craig and Dr. J show. What?
I'm just saying. That sounds good. that sounds catchy. It got a ring to it.
Like, who is this? What is that? Let me see. Let's see here.
No, break that down.
Yeah.
Let people talk.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. Listen, Dr. J, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Listen, again, we're gonna put you in the green room, right?
Mm-hmm. They got snacks back there.
I'm telling you, yo,
so good.
The works. We got the best snacks on the kidney corner.
And they got them good chips. And not the small water bottles. They got the big water bottles. The big ones.
The big joint. We got the Fiji or the Fiji. We got them. The Evian, whatever you want to call it. We got it back there.
I love it.
Right. Listen, don't go nowhere. We're going to go to the green room and have fun. All right? Okay. See you soon. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, wow, awesome. This young lady is doing great things there in Philly and at Temple University. Again, I'm going to put it on the screen, her website. Please visit her website. It's there. Read those blogs. You can get in touch with her there and also on her social medias. And wow, if this was, if you got anything out of this, please give us a shout. Send us an email, respond, comment, share, like, do whatever you got to do. And again, it is National Kidney Month. Share with a friend, share with a neighbor, your church member, family members. So, hey, I had a great time. This is Craig again, your host. And as always, get in position as it relates to your health. We'll see you soon. Peace.